do a quick video and show you guys how to put together the long curve on the Fire Island Hosta. So whenever anybody's having problems, this is the part that they always call and say, mine doesn't fit. So the first thing I want to bring to everybody's attention is when you lay these two pieces next to each other, they're not going to fit down here because you still have to pull the seam allowance. And so if it's laying down here longer, it's to be expected. Alright? So the next thing you need to do is, I want to bring to your attention is, when we were building these foundation papers, every place where there's a registration line, we actually took a basting stitch and we sewed in about 1 inch on each one of those registration points. That way when we remove the foundation paper, we won't lose any of our registration marks. And then all we have to do is just match everything up. So if you look, each one of these, there's registration lines all the way through here that match. Okay? There's one other registration point that's very important here, and that's called the transition point. And that transition point is where this point right here and this point, it goes from a straight seam down from here, and this is a curve all the way up to the next one. Alright? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this piece over like this, and we're going to take the end pieces. And I'm working with the queen size here, and so this is actually a smart corner right there where we've trimmed off all the dog ears, okay? And I'm going to take and put a pin right out here, instead of on the edge, just along inside a ways. And I'm going to take a little bit of glue and glue that edge right there, okay? Then we're going to take the next piece, or the other end down here, and these two ends don't have smart corners because they're supposed to stay as just a point, right? So I'm going to take and put just a little bit of glue and touch those ends together. So now everything else that we put in, okay, so we've got a pin on this end and we have this end where it's glued to fit, right? Now I'm going to take another pin and I'm just going to set it right here to kind of keep that from moving. Right. Now we're going to start down here on the end, and I'm going to start putting some glue along these edges here. And let's see, we're going to come in here and we're going to find the registration mark first, right there. And then I'm going to flip this piece over so that I have the concave on the top, and I'm going to glue the edges. And we're going to have to lift this up a little bit so it will come into the edge. And you just have to work that down along the edge until you have a perfect fit. And then push the pieces together. Alright, so now we're going to flip this over. And I'm going to start here. And I'm going to work my way down here. And I'm going to find another one of these registration points here. And I'm just going to place a pin there. And now I'm going to work everything in between those points right there where I put that pin. And you just rub the glue right along the edge. And after you get that on, then just take this. And if your seams, if you have a couple spots where the seams want to move on you, just take and put a little bit of glue underneath those seams. So now we have that piece. Now I'm going to actually take this and kind of gather it up just a little bit along this edge here. We're going to take some pins, we're going to put them out in this area. And that'll just keep the pressure, keep the fabrics together when I go to lift to the other side. and I won't have to worry about it popping all the glue loose that I just got through gluing together along the edges. Okay, so now all we have is just this point from here to here. And we're going to match up the transition marks right along the edges here. And after I get that in there, I'm going to place a pin right like this, hold that in place. And now everything else is going to fit in between them. And since you're working with all bias, you may have to pull back against that fabric just a little bit on the bias to get that to ease in, because their bias is going to stretch on you. And if you can't get it to ease in, then lay it down at an iron and steam that, and it'll shrink that bias edge back to the right size. Huh. And they said it wouldn't fit. Not a wrinkle in it. There we go. And now we're just going to take it to our machine, and we're going to let our student, Ardell, sew it together. Thank you. Bye.